The Champions League semi-finals begin tonight, so let's go over the games and see who's going to potentially be getting themselves to the final. Of course, this is the first leg, so any team that wins here could get themselves into a very good position potentially. But we'll see what happens, and we're going to be starting off first with the big one that is tonight, as of the time of recording this. PSG up against Bayern Munich. This is going to be a very big one. The way I see it is that whoever wins this game is going to be the favourites to win the whole tournament. Because yeah, compared to the other side of the draw, I feel like PSG and Bayern Munich just have too much for Atletico Madrid and Arsenal. So yeah, looking at the form guides heading into this, of course Bayern Munich dominant in the Bundesliga. They've won it again. Surprise, surprise. And yeah, they've been doing some good stuff. But at the weekend, they were, I think they were 3-0 down to Mainz in the Bundesliga. Of course, they were able to rotate because, yeah, they've won the league already. So, yeah, they were able to rotate a bit. But they were 3-0 down and they had to come back and win it 4-3, which was absolutely mental in the end. But they got the 3 points. Not like it really matters at this stage for them because the league's already wrapped up. But still, to be able to come back from 3-0 down, very impressive. And then as for PSG, they've been... I know obviously they've been able to like delay their league and fixtures for certain times because of obviously the French league allows it for whatever reason. So yeah, they've had a few delays in between their league and matches. In the most recent match, they beat Angers 3-0. As you would expect, PSG are by far the best team in France, and it's not even close. But they did have a little hiccup. They did lose to Lyon at home, so maybe Bayern Munich could look into that potentially and look for any weaknesses in the PSG team. Of course, PSG beating Liverpool in the quarterfinals, win 4-0 on aggregate over both legs, and Bayern Munich played out a bit of a thriller against Real Madrid, especially that second leg. That second leg was an absolute treat to watch. So yeah, Bayern Munich managed to get through that in the end. But yeah, as to who I think will win this one, of course, there is a few injuries for both teams. I mean, PSG are only missing a youngster in Dajjantu. I'd have definitely butchered that name. But yeah, Bayern Munich are missing Serge Gnabry. He's out for the rest of the season. Leonard Carl, a breakthrough star for them this season. He's going to be missing this game. Guerrero's going to be out. Vincent Kompany's actually suspended, so yeah, he won't be on the touchline tonight. Yeah, so yeah, they've got a few injuries here and there, Bayern Munich, but as for the teams on paper, of course, both teams are very strong. Both have their strengths and weaknesses, to be fair. But as to who I think will get through who will win this first leg, I'm going to say it's going to be an entertaining game. I know that for a fact. There'll be goals for both teams, quite a lot of goals, actually. I'm going to say that Bayern Munich will just get the win here, and it'll be, I'm going to go big. 4-3 for Bayern Munich. It's going to be an absolute thriller. Goals galore. And yeah, I'm very much looking forward to this tonight. That has to be said. But yeah, Bayern Munich are going to take a 4-3 lead heading back to Germany in the second leg next week, which, yeah, I think they'll take, to be brutally honest, considering the injuries and the fact that Vincent Kompany is going to be suspended for this one. But yeah, looking at the other semi-final, which is being played tomorrow, Atletico Madrid up against Arsenal. Now, as a Barca fan, it kind of does hurt me that we're not in this semi-final, considering we were this close to being able to make the comeback at Atleti, but that's another story for another time. Anyway, as for looking at both teams and their form as of late, Atletico Madrid, they have been pretty rough, I have to admit. It hasn't been great for them. I mean, in La Liga, they're miles away from challenging from the title. And yeah, they've been able to just rotate massively in La Liga, of course, due to them being... I mean, they're comfortably in the Champions League spots. They're like 10 points ahead of 5th, and I'm pretty sure similar to the Premier League, 5th spot in La Liga is going to get you Champions League football as well. So yeah, Atletico Madrid, even obviously they're 10 points clear of 5th place anyway. So yeah, they're able to just completely rest their key players in La Liga fixtures and then just play their best players in Champions League, which is what they've done against us in the quarterfinals. And yeah, it obviously paid off for them in the end. But yeah, obviously they did lose that second leg 2-1 on the night, but they managed to get through an aggregate. And in La Liga, obviously, like I've said, they've been rotating, but they have had a few rough results, to be honest. Lost to Sevilla, who are fighting relegation, believe it or not. Drew Real Sociedad, lost to Elche. So yeah, Atletico Madrid's form has been pretty poor, it has to be said. But they did get a win at the weekend against Bilbao, so at least there is that. But yeah, Bilbao definitely did cause Atleti some problems, but again, Atleti were rotating and resting their key players ahead of this one, like Julian Alvarez. You also got the likes of Simeone's son playing for them these days, Marcus Llorente. Griezmann in his last dance before he heads over to the MLS for Orlando City. So yeah, they're able to rest all their key players, and of course Soloff among the ranks for Atletico Madrid. Damn it, they have so many good players at Atleti, it's absolutely insane. And of course Lookman, Ademola Lookman, who joined them in the January transfer window. What a signing he's been, by the way. But yeah, looking at Arsenal, of course Arsenal, they've kind of fell off a bit in the Premier League, it has to be said. They had like that 9-point gap over Man City, and then it's been reduced when they lost to Man City, because they lost to Bournemouth, which if they had won that game, Arsenal, the gap would have been increased to 12. But no, they lost that game against Bournemouth. Then City won their game. Then they won the other game that they had in hand over Arsenal, and then they beaten Arsenal, which then allowed Man City to get, well, ahead of them on goal difference, which, of course, psychologically for Arsenal, that would have been very tough blow to take. But yeah, they managed to get through in the end. Arsenal, after in the Champions League, of course, playing Sporting Lisbon, it was a pretty boring second leg, 0-0 draw. But yeah, they got the job done in the end in that first leg. Kai Havertz got the winner for them in Portugal against Sporting Lisbon. 1-0, yeah. It was a bit nervous for Arsenal, and I feel like they're starting to feel the nerves at this point in the season, because, yeah, they've been fighting for Premier League titles and stuff, but it's getting to crunch time, and maybe some of their players are really starting to feel nervous and whatnot. But yeah, they did get a win against Newcastle at the weekend in the Premier League, but even then, it's just not convincing. Like, yeah, at this stage of the season, just get the win, do whatever you have to do to win the game, but it's still not convincing, really. And you can sense the nerves in that stadium whenever Arsenal play at home. You can sense the nerves and the feeling of, oh no, we might bottle this again. But yeah, both teams, they do have their injury concerns. Jose Maria Jimenez is going to be out injured for this one. Barrios is going to be out injured for that as well. We've got on the Arsenal side of things, Kai Havertz, the man who won them the game against Sporting Lisbon, won them the tie against Sporting Lisbon in the quarterfinals. Yeah, he's going to be out injured. Merino's going to be missing. Calafiori's a doubt. Timber's going to be out injured for them. Of course, Timber, huge player for Arsenal, been absolutely immense for them this season. But yeah, obviously, like I mentioned, Atletico Madrid got past Barcelona in the quarterfinals stage, and obviously Arsenal got past Sporting Lisbon. But yeah, as to what I predict for this game, of course, Arsenal at the back, and yeah, they have been very solid defensively, and of course, they rely heavily on set pieces, Arsenal. And apparently, they're still not going to have Saka, according to FotMob here, as I can say, well, in the predicted lineup. So if they don't have Saka, then obviously it is going to be a bit of a tough one. Atletico Madrid, of course, Alvarez, if he plays, then yeah, he could cause Arsenal's defence a lot of problems. Griezmann, of course, his last dance, so to speak. Soloff caused them problems whether he starts or comes off the bench. Llorente, very pacey player. He can play fullback, midfield. Yeah, he could cause Arsenal a few problems as well. Nicolas Gonzalez on the wings, he could be a handful for them as well. Same with Simeone. But as for what I think will happen in this game, of course, I forgot to mention, Atletico Madrid did lose the Copa del Rey final to Real Sociedad. That was obviously, yeah, that would have been the 2-2 draw, but they lost on penalties. So yeah, they would have taken a bit of a blow off of that Atletico Madrid not winning the Copa del Rey. But as for what I predicted this first leg, I honestly think Simeone will just revert back to type and just defend. You know, his natural setting is to just defend, and of course Arsenal, they aren't good at scoring like a lot of open play goals. They rely heavily on set pieces. So you know what? I'm gonna say that this is gonna be a 0-0. 0-0 first leg, and who would be the happy of the two teams? Arsenal, most likely. But you never know with Simeone, he can easily cause a few surprises. Because yeah, Atletico Madrid, it's not like Atletico Madrid of like 5-10 years ago where, you know, Simeone would just have the one plan, and that's just to park the bus for the whole game and just hit on counter-attacks. Recently, they have been a bit more attack-minded, because obviously with like Alvarez, you're going to be wanting to be bit more attack-minded, but Yeah, I just think Simeone will just revert to type here, and Arsenal, they'll try with set pieces, but I don't think it will work out. Atletico Madrid, physically, I feel like they'll be able to cope with all those set pieces and stuff. So yeah, I think this will be a 0-0 draw, and I think Arsenal will definitely be the happier of the two teams heading into the second leg at home at the Emirates. But yeah, let me know your predictions in the comment section below, guys, if you think I've got the predictions completely wrong, or whether you agree with me, or whatever. Yeah, thank you all for watching, and I shall see you all next time for the second leg predictions, where we'll see what's happened in the first legs.